Hey guys, unscripted video. I just want to make a YouTube video compiling all the information we've learned from the subreddit. The Arcane creators, Christian, Alex, and the writer Amanda, they had a Ask Me Anything, and people on Reddit asked them stuff, and they answered what they could. And there are a lot of leaks, hints at what's coming season 2 and beyond. So I've went through every single comment, well, most of them, and I've piled them in terms of the importance and how relevant it is. So here are the two writers, Christian and Alex. They were planned, but Amanda came in later. Hi, Christian and Alex. I just want to know what should we expect for Victor in season 2. I put this number 1 because this was kind of my basis in my first video. That everything will happen to Victor. I think death. That's kind of like everything. You know, the end of everything. Hello, Christian Alex. Who would you choose this single word to describe season 2? What would you pick? So as Shni said, this is a really good question to ask. It basically allows them to spoil season 2 without spoiling season 2. We have forgiveness. That's probably going to be the ending. War. We know war is coming. Like, Jinx launched a nuke at the whole council. They're going to retaliate. Rubicon. Rubicon is point of no return. A lot of characters are going to be doing stuff. I think lead characters will die. People are going to have to kill each other. Decisions are going to be made. That's just natural in war. So a lot of high stakes, a lot of war. I'm wondering how that's going to play out between Piltover and Zon. Are they going to be fighting in Piltover or Zon, or are they going to be fighting on the bridge? Like everything happens on the bridge. I'm really interested for the set pieces in the Arcane season 1, where we have a lot of individual character moments. We have Ika and Soko talking. We have Jace talking with Victor. With all these tiny closed rooms, there are character moments and conversations to be had to shine. With giant set pieces like in War, I'm curious to see what will happen. I know Jace and probably Victor, for example, are going to be probably behind the lines, commanding or doing their own stuff. So there could be moments for that. The whole season can't just be war. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be very exciting. I just hope they don't cut out too many character moments, so it still stays arcane and we get the richness of everyone interacting. We get all of the cool tiny details still. There's like when war happens, there's a lot of stuff that can be missed. So this question asks if who are the other big fish in Soko? Are we going to see them in season 2? And it also asks the creators whether there's going to be more parts of League explored, more parts of League explored in Arcane, whether they're going to dive into other areas. Actually, I forgot where I saw this, but League of Legends is going to do a live action. I think it was in Freyord or something. So I think it's going to be freaking amazing if they're just going to have like, because animation's expensive. Live action might be cheaper, might be cheaper. Yeah, whatever. I don't know enough about this subject, but if they have all these different genres just about the League of Legends lore and they just push something like the MCU. But yeah, that sounds pretty cool. League of Legends has a really good track record to creating content, and I'm interested to see how this goes. I recorded this just after the League of Legends layoff, so who knows how those plans are going out. But we have who's Idol Scribbles? Is it Alex? I think this is Alex. I wonder if it stood out to anyone. Yeah, so no one actually comes out and takes over Soko's place in season 2 of Arcane. So I'm wondering, is it going to be like Urgo? Is it going to be Renata Glass? That's what people are theorizing. But yeah, that's going to take a backstage. It makes sense, right? Between Piltover and Zon, they're going to be at war. We don't have time to develop all these background characters coming into play. I don't think that anyone is going to take over, and that's not going to be the centerpiece. So we won't have to worry about any of that. As a lot of the arcane theorists said, they'll be like, "Oh, Urgo coming, Renata Glass confirmed." That's not really going to be happening this season. I think it's fine because we built up all these characters season 1. We shouldn't introduce too many because we want things to conclude. Obviously, you want to lead into the other worlds, but close all of the story loops in Piltover. That's Piltover and Zon. That's the focus of season 2, and maybe build some stuff in the background. The third question, it kind of cements the statement that they're gonna try out different styles for league content. The way they said they love working with Fortiche, I think they might try to deviate from Fortiche a little bit. When it comes to live action content, that's not going to be a Fortiche's specialty, but they can also go into 2D animation. So I would love to see all the different stuff. This is literally the MCU, right? You have the movies, which are 3D animated. I mean, they're live action, and then you have Marvel's What If, which is 3D animation. So I think it's also a good way just to expand on the League of Legends universe without relying too much on Fortiche, right? They're going to be working on Arcane. That's kind of a bottleneck. You want more content coming out. Well, we want more good content coming out. So the live action would also be a good avenue for that to happen. So the next question asks about the mysterious wizard that saved Jason. Will we see them? And Alex answers, there will be magic, which is really cool to hear. Okay, the show's called Arcane, okay? They said every single champion and region of the Runeterra world, they have their different interactions with magic, with the arcane. And as a result, we kind of need magic to be the focal point of the overall arcane narrative. I think Piltover and Zon was a terrific place to start out. You have an area which is kind of devoid of magic, right? They're afraid of it. Heimerdinger is afraid of it. And as a result, you have the founding of Hextech, which brings magic to the common people. Now we have normal people who are able to stand up against wizards. The most likely candidate is going to be Victor. Victor's probably going to be the biggest user of magic because I think he dies and gets taken over by the Hex Core. But since the Hex Core is a fusion of technology and magic, the new Victor will be able to practice magic, probably only restricted by technology, right? He can only use the arcane through his different technology, through the laser pointer. But for the other wizards, but I think there will be a magic user that does come to Piltover and Zon. Maybe it's Janna, maybe it's whoever, but I this is something really exciting. This is probably how they're going to expand out from Piltover and Zon. The introduction of this new magic user will be the launch point into the next series. Probably someone from Ionia will come. Next series will talk about Ionia. We want some familiar faces that was introduced in the previous season before moving on to the next one. Just to have the cohesive, the through line. This question asks if there were any specific storylines that were not included. And right here, Christian talks about the flashback between Echo and Powder, where Echo tries to save her, and Powder refuses. So that might be something we see in season 2, or it might just be outside lost information. Question: Caitlyn and Vi, are they going to be happy in the upcoming season? Right now, Alex says there's something they like, there's something they're going to hate, and Amanda says I take full responsibility for both. So later in the Ask Me Anything, Amanda says she was a large reason why there was a sex scene in season 1. There's going to be another sex scene in season 2. So I think it's pretty obvious that Caitlyn and Vi are going to have a sex scene in Arcane season 2. You don't have a lot of other romantic relationships. We have Jason Mel. You can argue if that's romantic or not. And we have Caitlyn and Vi. The only other one that comes to mind is Echo and Jinx, but yeah, I don't really see that one happening. For the thing that they might hate, I have a theory that Caitlyn dies, that Jinx kills Caitlyn. So that's going to be my headcanon on what's going to happen. This question asks if Oriana's going to be in Arcane. Any hints about season 2 about Warwick? And will Janna be mentioned in Arcane? So it's a pretty cheeky answer from Amanda saying yes. I think she's saying yes to all of these, right? It's meant to be a bit ambiguous, but I think all 3 of these have a possibility. We want Janna. She's kind of like the Zon. She's kind of like an avatar of the Arcane in Zon, whether she practices magic or not. I'm assuming she knows magic, but I haven't read her character bio. This might just be coming out of my ass. Oriana and the Warwick teaser is in the Oriana and Warwick have been teased in the newest League teasers, in the newest Arcane teasers. So that's basically confirmed. This question asks if we'll see Vi's abs. Alex says he'll put in a request. Spoilers, this means that Vi's abs is not in Arcane season 2. Any sex scenes in season 2? Yeah, I tackled this on this earlier. Caitlyn and Vi. This is pretty much confirmed. Will we see a younger Silco and Vander pre-betrayal? They will. I think that this... Amanda says it's an episode that always makes me cry. The Riot staff, they talk a lot about how this season of Arcane is going to be whether or not Jinx and Vi repeat their parents' mistakes. So I think that the flashback between the younger Soko and Vander, it's gonna come at the very beginning of the last episode of season 2, right? At the beginning of every single episode, well, most episodes, we have a flashback that kind of represents the theme of the episode. Video on that soon. And in the last episode, the conclusion to the conflict between two cities, between the two sisters, I think it's gonna be representative for Soko and Vander's flashback to take place. Probably gonna The flashback's probably gonna give more context to the relationship between Piltover and Zahn. And Amanda says that the episode that always makes me cry. And if there's an episode that's gonna make us cry in season 2, it's gonna be the finale. All right. How long do you see yourself doing Arcane? It will be a revolving door of stories from around Runeterra. So Alex answers that they want to explore other regions. I think what I want to happen, I think what's most likely is Bilgewater, right? It might just be my personal bias for the pirate aesthetic, but Bilgewater is in large very similar to Piltover and Zahn. There you don't have lot of magic within it, and I think it could be a good like scaling point. We have an area with no magic, to an area with little magic, to more magic. We get more attuned, and we learn more about the arcane as we progress through the show Arcane. And and now that we have the invention of Hextech and Hextech possibly being distributed, Bilgewater, which is a major smuggling operation of Hextech goods, I think it's going to lead in from the Piltover and Zahn conflict. That's what I think. It might also be possible for another region to take over as the main setting, like Ionia, like Noxus. Noxus also pretty likely just because we have a Noxon introduced in Arcane already, but I think that might be a bit too obvious of a guess. This question asks about why Vander betrayed Silco. So if Silco had a plan to improve Zahn after it's been independent, and if we're going to see more of Silco in season 2. So Christian here answers that Silco is a special character. We wanted him to. We just wanted him to have a crazy dream that Zahn is going to be independent. Um, I think that because if you look at Arcane, Silco doesn't really do a lot to guarantee to make Zahn independent. He was producing Shimmer. Maybe that was to fuel an army to later wage war against Piltover, but as of what we've seen after the time skip, Silco did not really do a lot to ensure um to work towards any sort of independence. I think it wasn't until Jinx took the crystal that he was like, yo, build a nuke. I think that might have been the plan. Nuke the council and then fight for independence. But it was Jace who was the one that reached out his hand and was like, Silco, I'll try to give you independence. Right? It wasn't Silco that didn't initiate, didn't lead into any of that. The whole plot of season 2 was that Vi and Caitlyn went down to the Undercity to get evidence that Silco was in charge of the Undercity. Because that the council knew that Silco was kind of in charge of the Undercity, that's how Jace knew, like, oh, what does he want? He wants independence? All right, let me try to broker peace. But overall, yeah, this is a good answer from Christian. Silco doesn't really do a lot to make sure Zahn is independent. Well, he was planning on improving Zahn after independence. I mean, probably just get out of the council, get the council out of Zahn's hair, right? The council's pretty detrimental to the overall governance of the Undercity. They're better off just managing themselves. You don't want these enforcers coming in and wrecking havoc. I think that was it. Silco didn't really have a plan. And they guarantee that, yeah, there's going to be a Silco flashback in season 2. Here we have Alex answering that Silco and Vander, their relationship is representative of the story's 2 conflicts, and how season 2 is going to be about Vi and Jinx, whether their conflict is gonna repeat the mistakes of Vander and Silco. My guess between why Vander betrayed Silco is probably because Silco wanted to continue the war and Vander wanted to end it. Vander wasn't wet when he saved Jinx and Vi. So I think that Vander, when he tried to kill Silco, that was right after he saved Vi and Jinx. He realized, like, damn, war is not good. Silco, we got stopped. Silco's like, no. And then they fought in the water. The water, it's under the bridge, right? in the very first scene of Arcane, when Vander saves Jinx and Vi, he is on a bridge and looking at Zon. There's no other place for water to be than under the bridge. So whatever shenanigans happen, it's going to be near the bridge area. So that's probably when Vander betrayed Soko. So this Redditor asked any other part of Runeterra that will be interested to you. So right here, Alex says that he wants to do Noxus, Ionia, and Freyord. I think the way he said it, it probably means that um, these three are might not be coming next. Well, maybe Freyord with the live action speculation. But the way I see it is that Arcane season 3, they have the scripts written. They had Arcane season 2 scripts written when season 1's coming out, and season 3 there are probably some things worked on. And if they have some things worked on, they already solidified what region of Runeterra it will be. So maybe right here, Alex is saying what he's hoping for beyond the season 4 setting. Right here, Christian says we've been working on Arcane for 7 years, so we want to have other ideas, and they want to keep the Grimsgo tone. That's something they enjoy. So, well, hype for more areas of season 2, or hype for more areas of Runeterra. Question asks: final season in Piltover runs on. Will there be interactions between Echo and Jinx? An official Arcane art book when? So Echo and Jinx, I mean, they're gonna have interactions, right? You can't just end off what they've built up between Echo and Jinx, like right in season 1. Like there's probably gonna be more stuff just to conclude everything. I think and for the first question, be the final season in Piltover and Zon. I think it's gonna be the final like sole focus season. You know, as Arcane is going to expand into other regions of Runeterra, we don't want to keep the focus on just one area, and as a result, we're not going to devolve and go back to something we have already covered. I think if Piltover and Zon does come back, they're not going to exclude it forever, right? It's good. The whole point of building up a world is that it feels massive, and you have different parties involved all the time. You have to keep in mind that all these players exist. Piltover and Zon, they're probably gonna come in as like as side characters or as an outside party, but we're never gonna have a sole focus back on Piltover and Zon. A lot of the Arcane creators, they already said that season 2 is gonna be the conclusion of most of the stuff that they want to cover in Piltover and Zon. So I think that's going to be what's happening. This question asks why they named the show Arcane, and if there was a character completely different from how they were first conceived, and how Jinx and Vander had a close relationship. So show is called Arcane because every region, every character has a different relationship with the Arcane. I think that the impotence of the Arcane universe is kind of going to be that the PTSD flashback Heimerdinger had. We have all of these nations coming into fruition as a direct response to their own solutions to prevent what happened in Heimerdinger's flashback. In Demacia, they're afraid of mages, so they persecute all magic users. That sounds like how they could try to prevent what happened, the magic wars. In Piltover, they chose to distance themselves from magic until Hextech came along. So, yeah, the magic's gonna be so focused of the show. They're gonna do a lot more stuff with magic in Arcane season 2, right? You can't name a show Arcane and just not have any through line to Arcane. I guess in Piltover and Zon, it's Hextech kind of counts as magic, but it's still not magic, right? It's technology. When they first developed the character and it was completely different from how they were in the end, they said Victor, right? This is why Victor in League of Legends is kind of a villain. You listen to his character interactions with other champions, and they don't really like him. But there are some sympathetic stories written about Victor wanting to do good. So this was one of the reasons why I think Victor's gonna die, just because he's such a different character. He's gonna die, and then his rebirth is gonna facilitate the change that makes it into the League of Legends character. Jinx and Vi, they don't have a close relationship. I mean, yeah, picking favorites. Vander seemed to be more close with Vi and Clagger. So, I mean, that just happens. That just happens. I'm an only child, so I don't know too much about the favoritism stuff, but I would assume you're gonna like one sibling more than the other, and it just happened to not care for Jinx as much as he did for Vi. This next question asks how they appreciate the facial features in Arcane, the small facial expressions they make. Asks about Vi tattoos and about if Caitlyn's going to be sheriff, if Vi is going to be part of the enforcers, and whether they're going to be official girlfriend. So, for the last question, I think it's pretty much guaranteed that Caitlyn's going to be sheriff. I think she's sheriff in the League of Legends lore. So naturally, it's gonna the story's gonna progress to a point that she's gonna become new sheriff. Also, Heimerdinger's in charge of the wardens and the enforcers, but now Heimerdinger's out of the council. I think Jace took up his role in charge of the enforcers. So most likely, if Jace is gonna nominate someone new to be sheriff, it's gonna be Caitlyn. But that it could also be Camille, right? The thing is, as sheriff, she's probably going to be leading the enforcers into war against Dawnites, and Caitlyn is gonna be like empathetic to the Zonites. She's one of the few enforcers that actually knows what the things that they're going through and knows to treat them like real people. If you want a war between Piltover and Zon, which is what's going to happen in season 2, I think it might be better for Camille to lead them. But that might be hard to say, right? Camille is kind of a cyborg, and I think for Victor to refine Hex tech to the point of making cyborgs, that's probably going to take at least half the season. And I think war is going to begin immediately. Right it could be Camille like gets appointed as the new sheriff and leads the war, and halfway through she becomes a cyborg. But yeah, those are just my thoughts. So as these questions reach the end, they're gonna be less information regarding Arcane season 2 and just like production questions. I think it's starting to get to that point. So I'm just probably gonna skim through these. If you really want to read any one of these, pause the video. So this question here asks how Alex and Christian devised Arcane and made sure that there was so much substance within every episode, how things move really fast, and they just explain. And Christian just explains the writing process that they go through here. This question asks about Echo, the Firelights, and that Christian explains that the Firelights are kind of like this region of Zon where things aren't dangerous, where it's actually like a homey family, kind of like a small bubble of peace inside such a dangerous area that is Zon post Vander. Echo's community is kind of mimicking like the brotherly family dynamic that Vander fostered, that everyone has each other's back. That was lost when Silco took over. Hey Christian, Alex, 2 questions. Release the scripts of Arcane, and wow, you guys didn't come from Hollywood and you're able to make a good show. So Christian asks, yeah, they're not gonna release season 1 scripts because there are spoiler stuff. Things get cut out. And yeah, they talked about the learning process, how they had to learn a lot. And Amanda came into the series and really helped elevate their writing process. Who's the easiest character to write and who was the hardest? Silco Jinx. Pretty hard. And then Alex said that it's gonna be Silco and Jinx. Yeah. Makes sense. This question asks what's the most complex storytelling issue, and they want to say like everything. They want people to sympathize with people that like murder all the time. That's a pretty important thing to care about. But I think yeah, they succeeded. Jinx and Silco are fan favorites, even though like they murderize everyone. So Arcane season 2 Arcane writing staff, good. This one asks favorite scene in Arcane and how they felt about the public reception. And Christian answered episode 6 ending, and it was a powerful feeling and it really motivated them. So yeah. Arcane, for this part, this question asks how's it going? How does it go for hiring new like artists for making music? Christian answered that it was really hard because Fortiche was a new studio and nothing was really proven. But the fact that Arcane blew up so much as it did, and how it like people love the music that is in Arcane, we're gonna get a lot of new artists. Like all of the current like musical production they had in season 1, it's gonna be elevated, and that is confirmed by Christian and Alex, that Arcane season 2's music is just built different. So that's something I'm really looking forward to. Discussion asks a small part of Arcane that just not big, but it was really enjoyable. Alex answered just the Soko's cigarette box that Jinx drew a bunch of stuff on it. That the Fortiche artists they just told a story with something really insignificant. That just is like all of Arcane, right? Everything has another meaning, and the story is just so rich. This question asked if there's going to be another Bridging the Rift, and they said there's going to be another Bridging the Rift. So that I'm looking forward to that. Bridging the Rift is like it's like Arcane. It's more Arcane. Give me more Arcane, please. This one asks that the early drafts of Arcane weren't that good, and how much is similar and different. And they answer that some stuff got changed around, some more character focused stuff got through. Question asks that any Easter eggs in the show, any teasers for season 2. They didn't answer that one, but yeah, they congratulate everyone at Fortiche working at them, and the storyboard artists are very helpful. There's a lot of Easter eggs, and more than we'll probably ever find out. Question asks why did you add Get Jinx? And they said it's not really canon to the show, but they just liked it, put it in. Are the scripts complete for season 2? Yes, they are. So as of 1 year ago, like all the major character story beats, like they've been solidified. Favorite episode of the show, did Soko braid Jinx's hair? This is a good one. Yeah, Soko Jinx wanted her hair braided. Soko didn't know how. He normally hired people, and then he tried to make a machine to do it. It did not end so well. Asked Savika to braid Jinx's hair. Savika said she wanted to quit. Any merch drops? Yes. I don't know if it's just me. I haven't been able to find any merch drops. Like I want some Arcane merch, but where are they out there? I don't want no like Timu scam products. Where's the official Arcane merch drop? I think there's some statues and jewelry, but like, give me. Is there a T-shirt? Is there figurine? Give me some of that. What are the biggest influences of Arcane? And they listed their influences. I'm not too familiar with Peaky Blinders, so I can't say anything. They said Spider Verse. Someone mentioned Spider Verse, and yeah, this is kind of a pain point. Everyone compares Arcane to Spider Verse, but it came out for Spider Verse, which is really impressive because Arcane did so much. Like it's a fucking League of Legends game studio, and they just revolutionized animation. Like, good job, Arcane. Another question asking about the art book. Yes, there's an art book in the works. This one talks about Schnee, and Alex says he enjoys watching Schnee's videos. A lot of things that the Arcane staff were doing, they didn't realize they were really doing until Schnee like articulated the specific methodology they used. Some stuff Schnee said was inaccurate, but a lot of it is just like it's just really good interpretation of how the writer staff did what they do to make Arcane great. And I think his videos are really helpful, right? If you want to add more people to the writing staff, they can just watch Snee's YouTube videos to kind of get a feel of like how Arcane scripts are written. They can emulate that. But this question asks, fight 10 Vander-sized Heimerdingers or 75 Heimerdinger-sized Vanders. Christian says fight the Heimerdingers because it's gonna be funny. 20. This question asks, does the song "Our Love," does the music disc "Our Love" represent Piltover runs on? Yes, it does. There are a lot of passionate tweets on social media. Does that mean the creators of Arcane see a large part of the fans' tweet? Yeah, they browse Twitter. The Arcane Twitter reposts a lot, reshares a lot of Arcane art. I don't think they do so as much recently, but that's something that they do. This question is just some translation issue. Next question. Who came up for the Jinx and Echo fight scene? And Alex here says it was all Fortiche. Fortiche is the GOAT. Truly the GOAT. I went to Paris last week and I really wanted to visit their studio, but I'm pretty sure they did not want random fanboys going to the Fortiche studio and trying to get it. That's gonna be risky. Don't want Arcane Season 2 leaking stuff getting out too. So yeah, I hope I can visit there one day. Arcane blows up, becomes a massive phenomenon, and the original Fortiche studio gets turned into a museum for all the Arcane fans out there in the world, and I'll be the first customer. Question asked, Soko talks about Soko. How'd you guys make him such a good character, so deep, so complicated? He said, yeah, we wanted to make him deep and complicated, so we succeeded. This question asks, what were the champions you worked on? And Alex listed all the champions he worked on. This question asks their favorite scene, and Alex gave a lot of favorite scenes: the bridge fight, the Chuck Theorem scene, and the end of episode 9. All good scenes. All good scenes. So, this question asks whether or not like any things that any things they wanted to change in Arcane now that it's been a year. Alex says that a lot of the pain point, a lot of like things that they knew might have been issues, such as like how rushed Act 3 was, it got addressed in season 2. So this is just the beginning. They're just gonna get better. And they're happy everyone loves Arcane as much as they do. I believe Riot executives have realized the importance of Arcane to the company. Does their support make production easier than before? Yes, actually. Arcane, if you watch Bridging the Rift, they had a lot of struggle just getting Arcane done. Also, the time frame. They with the low budget, right? You can't hire as many animators as before investing in the Fortiche, but Arcane was like a 6-year process before season 1 came out. And because they still invested so much in the Fortiche and originally Arcane got canceled, that Riot asked Fortiche to make a bunch of music videos. That's where KDA came out of. So Arcane has a lot of breathing room this time around based on how successful season 1 is. They brought a lot of new fans to League of Legends. That was mainly why they wanted to create Arcane. And the fact that it was just an amazing storytelling device. And the CEO really enjoyed Arcane. They're going to pump in a lot of resources. Given the new Riot layoffs, a lot of the Arcane team was actually untouched because they know that it's quality. They know that Arcane is something special that they're going to push for. And that's good for us League of Legends fans because that's good for us Arcane fans because we get more Arcane. Hi, which scene in the show holds a special meaning to you? Alex says Silco monologue at the beginning of episode 3. That's probably why Alex wanted to include the Silco monologue into the very beginning of Arcane. And Amanda had to said no, this doesn't represent the series. Move it to episode 3. I guess it somewhat makes sense, right? You have the two brothers' conflict. They talked about how Arcane season 2 it's going to be whether or not the sisters repeat the mistakes of their fathers, and the brother conflict kind of represents the show. But I do agree with Amanda here that the bridge scene, just the whole storytelling, the whole storytelling device that is the bridge, symbolically, just fits the series a lot more. You have two sisters, you have two cities all fighting conflict, what the conflict brings, and it's a good beginning. The show is mainly centered around Jinx and Vi, and we should start with Jinx and Vi. How did you decide on the tone for Arcane with adult themes? Well, they wanted to do a lot of things with the show that is only possible in an adult framework, right? You can't have Jinx killing her whole family part in you can't have Jinx killing her whole family in a children's TV show. You're gonna need a darker, grittier aspect. So it's just like you want to tell these real life stories. That's why you have these adult oriented world where you can have the freedom to tell the darker, gritty, where you can tell the horrible aspects of the world, the sexual pleasures, just to have a more well-rounded representation of Runeterra that we can connect with. Another question. I absolutely love Arcane. Thank you. What advice do you have to give people creating interesting stuff? Yeah, make the perspective a lot more grounded. That was something they talked about in Bridging the Rift, that they really struggled with that until some of the new writers came in and restructured everything. And that's the end of the Reddit Ask Me Anything. I hope you guys learned more stuff about the Arcane world, and hopefully this video will not be a bitch to edit. All right, catch you guys in the next one.